Hey everyone, I'm Robbie Cornthwaite.
I'm Daniel Mullen.
I'm Angelo Costanzo.
I'm Marco Flores.
I'm Marcelo Carusca.
I'm Iain Fyfe.
This is Kayo, and you're watching.
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 And you are watching
Purebred Reds, Adelaide United Fan TV.
Welcome to the Purebred Reds, Adelaide United Fan TV. I'm your host, Ellis Gelios, here today to preview our huge game tonight against Sydney FC. And I'm very lucky to be joined for the second time round on the show by a man who played for both clubs, played 75 games and scored 5 goals for Adelaide United across 2 stints. I am, of course, referring to the great Iain Fyfe. Iain, how are you, mate?
How you going, mate? Just 5 goals, eh? Not very good.
Mate, 5 goals is a decent return for a centre-half, let's be honest.
Yeah, I'll take it. Probably all with my head or tap-ins, but I'll take them anyway, yeah.
Good stuff, Fyfe. Now, last time you joined us, it was round 1 of this season, and boy, was it a different world back then. How's everything been for you since? I mean, you played in I think you played in the curtain raiser before an Adelaide United game that I saw you playing in the amateurs. And you're also at Campbelltown City. We'll get into everything going on at Campbelltown in a second. But just you personally, throughout the whole COVID period, how's it all been?
Yeah, I think COVID, has had its effect on things, like most people in their personal lives and working lives. But, it's been hard to not have, the things we love in our lives in terms of family and sport. But it's good to have everything out back now. And that, although, there may be some restrictions still in place, but we're getting things back a little bit back to normal. It's good to have the sport back, good to be back amongst Campbelltown with the boys and playing for 3 points every week. And, of course, having A-League back and all the other sports as well. It's something that's very important in our lives as sports people and sports fans and, former professionals. So something that is a huge part of our life. So great to have everything back.
Brilliant stuff. So you have mentioned Campbelltown. You are the assistant coach there now. You're sitting 4th on the table in the NPL. You had a pretty decent win on Saturday against Adelaide City. In a strange sort of year for everyone, as we know. How's everything progressed for you in your new role there this season?
Yeah, a little bit stop-start due to everything, but it's been a great learning curve for me going into the coaching world and being assistant coach out of Stubbsy and just seeing the game from a different perspective, which has been really enjoyable. Of course, we work with great players down there at Campbelltown, great characters. So that's been enjoyable working through various ups and downs there. We haven't had a great start to things in terms of what we can really achieve. But I think the last 3 or 4 weeks we've kind of bettered ourselves in a little bit more in terms of the style and the way we're playing. Although we didn't get the result against Metro, I thought we played really, really well. And kind of a week before there was a really good result as well against Comets. So, and then last week a great result against Adelaide City. So I think the boys are really taking on board the style of play that Stubbsy wants to implement. The smart players. So there's always going to be an adjustment from the coaching staff last year in Joe, and the boys were under him for 4 or 5 years. So I think they've adjusted that pretty well. And like I said, the last 3 weeks have been really good and they performed. And it all comes down to the players in the end. The players are the ones who go out there and put it together on the park, and they're good enough to do that week in, week out.
Yeah, we know Campbelltown is full of former Adelaide United alumni, and you are under the former assistant coach as well, Phil Stubborn. So it must be a fantastic for you to have that pathway into hopefully one day professionally coaching. Did you catch the Perth Glory game last week at all, Fyfe?
I saw the highlights. Yeah, saw the highlights.
Impressed?
I did catch a bit of it. Yeah, very impressed. Yeah, it was a great game to watch for sure. I actually caught a little bit of it after training. And then I think I got a couple of messages when we came in from training, and it just said Adelaide United, wow. And I thought, that can mean 2 things, can't it? But I think and then finding out the result. But I think the way Carl's got him playing has been a real reflection in the attitude of the players and the methods of the coach, I think, as well. You can tell there's been a little bit of a shift in terms of the attitude with the boys. I think they're responding to Carl extremely well, which is great to see. There's a lot of young Adelaide boys in there, which is also great to see. And they're performing really well week in, week out. So, I mean, it's all positives from the last couple of weeks. As we know in football, it can change, from week to week. But from what we've seen so far, the way that they're playing, the way that they're defending, I think first and foremost, that's what wins you championships in the end. And then the forwards can do their thing at the other end. But there seems to be a little bit more structure. It seems like the communications are a little bit better. The players are understanding what the coaching staff require, and they're going out. And like I said, it all comes down to the players in the end. So they're the ones performing, and they're the ones who are going to get all the credit when the results come in, like the one against Perth.
Yeah, excellent insights there, Fyfe. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Carl would have been a specialist coach during, I think, your first stint at the club. So I'm not sure if exactly your time at Adelaide United aligned when he was a specialist coach there, but you certainly would have crossed paths with him within the football community at some stage. We're delighted to see him get the gig on an interim basis at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he was the right man for the job when all was said and done, at least to be given an opportunity. You can throw a few names into the mix, but I think we've kind of, we may go back to a foreign coach sometime down the track with Adelaide United, but I think it was certainly overdue for a South Australian coach to kind of guide the team, as long as he was well qualified enough. And I think when you look at Carl's career, as a player and as a coach, I think he sat in a really good place to be able to take over and prove what he can do as a coach till the end of the year. And then from there, we make a decision on whether you go forward with that. But off the back of what he's done so far, it's all really positive stuff. So, like I said, if you can sense that the players are reacting positively to a coach and what the coach is projecting to the players verbally, and through what he does on the training track, and then they're going out there and they're performing really well. Not only that, but seem to be doing it and enjoying it with a smile on their face, defending really structuredly and going forward with a little bit of freedom. I think you can tell that the players seem to be enjoying their football at the moment. So I think, again, that's a reflection of the environment of what they're walking into daily and how they're training every day, and you ultimately want to be enjoying your football as a footballer. And when you're enjoying your football, you're going to go out there, play with freedom, and get results.
Brilliant stuff. Well said, Fyfe. Indeed, we're going to get into the preview, mate. So we do take on your former club, Sydney FC, at 7 p.m. tonight, SA time. It's technically our home game, but will be played at ANZ Stadium. You can catch all the action on Fox Sports and the Kayo Sports app. Now, did you know, Sydney FC are undefeated in their last 11 A-League games against Adelaide United. That's 8 wins and 3 draws, keeping 7 clean sheets in that period. Sydney FC have won their last 5 games on the bounce in New South Wales against Adelaide United, outscoring us 11-2 across that period. Sydney have lost their last 2 A-League games heading into tonight. The last time they lost more games in succession was a 3-game stretch from October to November back in 2013. The Reds have had 13 unique goal scorers throughout the 2019 campaign. Nearly half of all the players we've used, which is 27 players, have scored goals for us. Only Central Coast Mariners, with 14, have had more individual goal scorers this campaign. And lastly, we're undefeated at tonight's venue, ANZ Stadium. So some good signs there. Now, Fyfe, Alessandro Del Piero has been included in the squad after returning from injury, and is also joined by Yared Abichu, who has been promoted in the squad for us tonight. Now, Al Hassan, you'd know all about his story, but not only him, his brother Mohammed and their younger brother Musa just scored in the MPL on the weekend just gone. How exciting. I mean, I can't recall the last time we had in South Australia this much to get excited about. 3 brothers, all at the same club, all performing. So much to look forward to, Fyfe. How good is it?
It's wonderful, isn't it? It's brilliant. but again, they're there because they're performing, and that's what every young player. That's what, as coaches, you ask from young players. If they give you that, then the coach is going to give you the opportunity. So, and then it's down to them to take the opportunity with both hands, and they seem to be doing that. You know, to have three brothers in the mix is exciting stuff. It's great. Who knows where it can go? But you know, they've got to just continue to perform, continue to play good football, exciting football, score goals, and then they'll continue to get those opportunities at senior level. But you know, it's all new, and we have a lot of young Adelaide players coming through, which is awesome. You know, but they have to continue to grow, continue to perform, continue to get better. You know, you can't rest on your laurels, especially at this age. So I'm sure, you know, they're in a great environment to be able to do that. Some great senior players down there who'll guide them in the right direction.
Brilliant. So Sydney, your old club where you had some great memories, Fyfe, in the early A-League days, particularly. They're confirmed premiers. No result can change their situation ahead of the commencement of the finals. Which way would your former side be leaning towards right now? Would they be wanting to play the kids and not risk the prospect of acquiring injuries? Or given the long COVID layoff in matches, is it more important for them to get some run in the legs and play their stars into form? How do you see that, particularly now with your coaching cap on?
Yeah, I think you'll find that he'll probably rest a couple of players who've kind of had little niggling injuries here and there. It's a real opportunity to get them back to full fitness. So it really depends on that. I'm sure Bimby will be asking players individually how they feel, whether they want the week off. It is a real balance. I don't think you would go out and just play a bunch of young kids at this stage because, like you said, you want to be ticking over as a player and playing as many games as possible and coming off a bit of a break as well. I'm sure most players will be feeling refreshed, will be feeling fit, won't have too many niggling injuries. So, again, it comes down to balance. They still want to go out and win the game. There's no doubt about that because, you know, the more you win, you know, the more you feel like you can win. It sounds a bit silly, but you want to continue that kind of ball rolling and that momentum. So it is a little bit of balance for Stevie, but I think he may make one or two changes, I would say, but nothing too drastic.
Yep, fair enough. So how should Carl Veart approach tonight's game? Does he go for the defensive block and hope to surprise Sydney with our pace out wide, or does he throw everything at Sydney in the hope that our desperation will prevail?
I think you've got to be a little bit more tactical with Sydney, maybe possibly a little bit more defensive. They have a lot of really good attacking options, and the main aim would probably be to stay in the game for as long as possible and kind of wear them down a little bit. It comes down to structure and work rate and things like that. But the way we're playing football, or Adelaide United playing football, there's you know, a lot of room for kind of taking that game by the scruff of the neck. Confidence will be at an all-time high. So there's no doubt. I think Adelaide will be viewed as a very tough team going forward now to beat, and they'll be in the mix for kind of peaking at the right stage. I think that's another big thing coming off this COVID break. A lot of teams will just be getting their fitness up to certain stages, their sharpness, and it's all about peaking at that time when teams really need to be at their best. And Adelaide seem to be doing that more so. Sydney have stayed there for a long time, and they have the ability to continue to stay at that level. But the good thing about Adelaide is slowly getting better every week. So, you know, it's all to play for. I think Adelaide will definitely be, you know, it'll be a very, very tough game, tight game. It won't be all Sydney. You know, Adelaide will have their moments. I think it'll come down to that, their moments. If we take our chances, which I'm sure we'll get 3 or 4 during that game, if we really take our chances and be clinical, I think that'll be the difference in the game. Brilliant,
mate. I couldn't agree more. So, Fyfe, what have you made of the incredible emergence of all our youngsters? I know we've glossed over it already, but it is a sight to behold at the moment. And also, should Carl Veart invest and trust more in them tonight, given how devastatingly they combined in our win over the Glory 7 days ago?
Yeah, I think it's great to to see the young boys doing so well, like we touched on previously. You know, they've came in and they've taken opportunities, which is what you want as a coach from a young player. You want them to give them opportunities when they deserve it, and then you want them to take them and keep them. You know, so to see that is fantastic, especially being young Adelaide boys as well, which is great for the future for the club. You know, you want these guys to continue to play in the first team and rack up those appearances. And the way they go on, that's what they're going to be doing. So that's great. In terms of throwing them in the mix for the game, I think you got to tread with a little bit of caution. You still need a little bit of experience in there, and the boys like that guiding the team in such a crucial game for Adelaide United. So 3 points is crucial. So you always got to put out your best team. That's what it comes down to in the end. If the young boys are in that best 11, then they're in that. If they're not, then that's the way it is. But you put out your best team. Doesn't matter how old they are.
Brilliant, mate. Now, you obviously played with Steve Corica. He was a very good striker in a very successful team that you played in back in your stint at Sydney FC in the early A-League days. Have you got any memorable stories of sharing the dressing room with Bimby, as they like to call him, at all?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, really, really great player. Probably one of the best players I played with. A bit of a maestro in the midfield. Always, was able to turn on in big games. That's what was a real memory for me. Was a leader, not in terms of vocally, but in terms of the way he conducted himself on and off the field. He was a real leader in that sense. Helped a lot of the young boys, and was just a really, really classy player. I think he complemented the other players in the team at the time really well. The likes of Ufuk Talay and Yorkie and Sash Petrovsky and all the players around him. He was a fantastic guy. In terms of stories, man, I really couldn't remember that far back, to be honest. There are some good stories off the field, like some good nights out and stuff like that. But I forgot about them as well. So yeah, there you go. He was a great guy in the change room.
Yeah, could you sort of get the feeling at all that he had a coaching future ahead of him whilst you were playing with him?
You would probably put a few other players ahead of him in terms of coaching, in that sense of the word, like the likes of Popper, Roods. I guess they were always kind of, Popper especially was always going to be a coach. You can tell. Uffy as well. Their knowledge of the game. It's really incredible how many players from that team have gone on to be coaches. But when you look at the way they understood the game, it's no real surprise, Ufuk Talay was another one who he was a fantastic player, and could just read the game. So, you can take that knowledge of being a player and that environment, and they've taken it into coaching. Stevie was probably, you could just tell he was always going to be involved in football for the rest of his life. He's too valuable not to be. And to see his how he's kind of taken his steps into coaching has been absolutely brilliant. And I think what's helped him the most is being, I think it was under the first coach, what was his name at Sydney, when he kind of stepped out of playing.
Was it Vitislav Levichka?
Levichka, that was it. Yeah. He went straight into Vitislav's kind of assistant coach's role, or one of them anyway, I think, with Popper, and then was under him for a number of years. And then obviously coming into Arnie as well. So once you're under 3 or 4 different coaches with 3 or 4 different styles, and you're constantly learning and seeing training every day and seeing these different methods and different ideas, you're going to just soak up all the information and then take a lot of it yourself and become that great coach. So, I mean, it's a credit to him and what he's achieved at Sydney. It's another one, like, probably more so than Carl. Like, the players play. You can tell the players are playing for their coach. You can tell he invests that real time, energy, and love into his players, and it's reflected in the way they play. And then they give that back to him. And that's probably what's most crucial about being a coach. You really got to show the players how much he wants them to do well. You want them to do so well. None of it is fake. You can tell that that's the way it is with Bimby. He wants these players to do well and to do it themselves and to take all the credit, in terms of how they play and how many wins and how many league titles and how many trophies. And then through that, they give it all straight back to him. And that's the most crucial part of coaching. You've got to have that connection to your players. You can't fake that. You can't say to a centre forward, "Yeah, I love you. I hope you score heaps of goals this season," but then secretly want to get rid of him, because players can feel that. So I think the honesty has got to be there, and that's one of the most crucial ingredients, and that's what Sydney have. And then you combine it with, like I said, the knowledge and then bringing in great players, having a great mix of players. All this is crucial. You can't just have a great team. You've got to have characters, and you've got to have a good change room. You've got to have leaders. You've got to have great young players. You've got to have it all. And as a coach, you've got to understand that you've got to have all that. So once you get that formula right, you really can achieve things and win trophies. So I think Sydney have been doing that for a number of years now. And Adelaide have that same feel over the last kind of 3 or 4 weeks that they can achieve something like that, although it's early.
Beautifully spoken, Fyfe. We're nearly at the end, mate. So I did ask you this back in round one, but in terms of playing for Adelaide against Sydney or vice versa, do you have any really sort of great memories from any of those ties? Because you played in a lot of affairs where both sides met each other, particularly for Adelaide when Del Piero came here. Are there any that particularly stand out for you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that would be one, mark, and someone like Alessandro Del Piero. That was, an honour to be on the same field as an absolute legend like that. That was super fun, to play in. But on the early days, there was a lot of it got a bit aggressive between Adelaide United and Sydney when I was playing for Sydney. There was always little scuffles and fights. I'll tell you one little story, actually.
Let's have it.
Oh, man. I was so embarrassed about this, but there was a big scuffle on, and I think, there was a lot of verbals and stuff like that back in the day, and everyone was having a crack at each other. It was good, and but I remember there was a bit of a scuffle, and Scruffer, Carl, I think we got into it, and he kind of pushed me in the chest, and I fell down, trying to milk her. Oh, God, I was so embarrassed. But, yeah, I know. And he was like, "Get up." I was like, "Yeah, all right," But, sometimes you reflect on moments in your career, and that's certainly one that I regretted doing. But, yeah, we had some really great tussles. I remember that when I was playing for Sydney and vice versa when I was playing for Adelaide against Sydney as well. But those early days were really, really fun.
That elimination final at Cooper Stadium where you managed to win against all the odds back in the first season, does that still come up fresh in the mind at all?
It does, yeah. That was the semi-final, wasn't it, to get into the final?
Yeah.
It does, yeah. Yeah, I still remember the goal, actually, because I think Rude scored the winner.
Yeah.
It was a ball in, and I think Rude was on the back post. I think he headed it in or he side-footed it in or something like that. But it was in front of the Cove, and it was a full house. They were pretty much full, 40,000. And then, the whole crowd erupted. And I remember it because I was on the other side. If Rude squared it, then I would have got a tap in. So, but Rude, hit it and he scored, and then he ran off to the Cove. And I know that was a real special moment for Rude as well. But yeah, that was the moment where we kind of got into the final. And at that stage, Adelaide were probably the informed team. Won the league, and but I think we had a little bit of the momentum there with the crowd and just all the buzz that was surrounding the team at the time. I know Adelaide with Cozzy and that, they used that to fuel their own motivation because they were like the small team for Adelaide, overachieving with a bunch of strong characters and real winners in the tem. And we were kind of labelled as, this bling team, and, we had Yorkie and all that stuff. So I know that they used that as motivation, and our motivation was obviously thinking that we were the best, and and trying to puff our chests out, and then we had the crowd and all the atmosphere behind us and the pressure, but it was like great pressure to have. And then when we won that game, that was a special moment for sure. I still remember it. I remember it like it was yesterday. So yeah, that was great. They got us into the final, and then we won the final. So yeah, that was great times, great memories for sure.
Yeah, bitter pill to swallow for us Reds fans, but it must be great to reminisce from your side. Now, just before I let you go, Fyfe, your prediction for tonight?
My prediction is a 2-2 draw.
Okay, interesting. Goals are plenty.
Yeah.
Well, Fyfe,
entertainment.
Nah, absolutely. We wouldn't want it any other way at the moment during this rather restless period that we're in. Fyfe, your Campbelltown team, of which you're the assistant coach, are out at home Saturday against Para Hills. It's a big game, 3 p.m. Make sure you get there to Stradbroke Road and support the Red Devils there. Fyfe, just do you miss playing? You're nearly a season in now to not playing anymore. What's it been like?
Yeah, I do miss playing. I think most players would be lying if they said they missed the game and everything that comes with that. Things like big matches, finals, and change rooms, and all that stuff, and teammates, and the atmosphere, the friends you make. But a realist would say that thing, you knew it was never going to last forever. So it's always time to move on in life, at certain stages of life, and this is just one of those moments for me. So, players will always miss playing the game. There's no doubt about it. If you love it, then you can't do it anymore. Then at a certain level, of course, then it's something that there's a little bit of a void, but you have to be intelligent enough to try and fill that void. Luckily, I've been given an opportunity to try venture into coaching a little bit, so that's going to be a really exciting time for me, and everything off the field, fills in my day as well. So in terms of work and family and things like that. So, I was lucky enough to play professionally. I enjoyed it immensely, but life goes on, and you've got to move on with your life and enjoy so many other aspects that life has to offer.
Yeah, and good on you, mate, because you played all over the world. You had a fantastic career. Fyfe, all the best for Saturday. It's going to be a big game for Campbelltown, I'm sure. And enjoy catching a bit of the Reds tonight if you manage to. But I know you've got to run off now and probably make a session plan up or whatever it is because of training tonight. But you're a very busy man. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time and coming back onto the show as a friend of the show, mate. All the very best, and we'll look forward to speaking to you again sometime soon.
Thanks very much. I've enjoyed my time. Thanks very much, mate.
Cheers, Fyfe.
Cheers, mate.